serve my mind, baby. Feeling me, that's why they killing me. Lately, get your life. Get your life, get your life, get your life, baby. I got my why you can serve my mind, baby. Feeling me, that's why they killing me. Lately, get your life. Run up when you see me, no disguises. Keep that thing with me, cause I don't do surprises. J Chanel, show and tell, all facts, no lies, streak. Get your life, cause I'm the type to come to it that 9 quick. Eyes on me, what you care for? Watching me, baby, care for. If you ain't a fan, where the cameras? Hide in the back with the bellboys. My circle so restricted. Hands raised like it's your religion. When I sleep, pay close attention. Fake friends out here pretending. Get your life, get your life, get your life, baby. I got my why you can serve my mind, baby. Feeling me, that's why they killing me. Lately, get your life. Get your life, get your life, get your life, baby. I got my why you can serve my mind, baby. Feeling me, that's why they killing me. Lately, get your life.
Focus there.
Watch them cause they after me like a pot of gold. I'm not for play, ask Keisha if you don't know. I'm a little bit cray-cray, approach me, you better be right. If you don't come correctly, you can catch these cans tonight. Eyes on me, what you care for? Watching me, baby, care for. If you ain't a fan, where the cameras? Hide in the back with the bellboys. My circle's so restricted. Hands raised like it's your religion. When I sleep, pay close attention. Fake friends out here pretending. Get your life, get your life, get your life, baby. I got my why you can serve my mind, baby. Feeling me, that's why they killing me. Lately, get your life.
Get your life.
Get your life, get your life, get your life, baby. I got my why you can serve my mind, baby. Feeling me, that's why they killing me. Lately, get your life.
Get your life, boo.
But I really gotta win it. If it ain't been done yet.
Good morning, good evening, good night, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's your nighttime, right time DJ Music, and welcome to another episode of the Chop Shop. Y'all seen it, y'all know what we're going to talk about. As a little added bonus also, we're going to talk about the goings on in the government. But first, we're going to talk about the attack, the all-out attack, as some might say, on Black America and Black history. We're going to talk about that. We're going to use a clip from the Defiant Lawyers. Big shout out to those folks. Let me go down there in the listening lounge right quick, like, and see some folks down in there. Hey, my co-host down in there. Hey, Shar. Hey, there's Zahara. Good to see y'all as always. And if you're tuning in, folks, please, like I say, you're welcome to leave a comment. But if you leave a nasty gram, y'all know what's going to happen. I'm going to leave you one back. But without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let me slide back over here and introduce my co-host, my right hand, my ace in the hole, talking about the one and only Shar Willie. Hold on, Shar, just a second. Let me move this off the screen so they can see ya. Hold on just a second. I got to scroll up here. Got too many things going on at one time. There you are. How you doing, Shar? How you doing? We on air up off in this piece. Say hello,
greetings,
folks.
Greetings. Hello.
Right. Good to see you. We back for, we got this stuff that that's in the news. The news that just keep on giving. back in the not so distant past, I said, I'm not going to talk about Trump no more, not unless he give us a reason to. Remember me saying that?
Yes, I do recall that.
Has he not given me a reason to talk about him again?
Yeah.
Or at least the sycophants that's around him?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Before we get into our first piece of the evening, I don't want to guess what you know about what's going on in the world. So, are you up to speed on I would call it a major security breach?
I heard about it. And I saw a man drinking some water like he was very nervous, or it appeared to be water. I'll just say that.
Listen, I don't understand what's going on here. Of course, me being in the military at one time, and there's a few folks down there. Hey, Taylor, how you doing? Good to see you. And there's some few folks down in the lounge that's also been in the military. And one thing I know for sure, when I heard what went on, I was like, how in the hell do you know that these heads of state, heads of government was using a unfiltered, unregulated app called what is it called? I can't think of the name of it right now. What is it called?
I don't know, but it's an app.
Yeah, it's an app. But they were using it to talk about bombing somebody, Yemen to be exact. Instead of doing this in a protected signal, that's it. Thank you, ZR. Signal. They were using a Signal app.
Never heard of it.
To talk me either until 2 days ago. I'd never heard of Signal before either, but it's apparently just something that the government uses to communicate with each other instead of using TikTok or Instagram or stuff like that. I guess they have to separate the two from their personal accounts and what they do for the government. So I guess Signal, as I heard one of the folks say, that it's something that they automatically download to their computers and their phones once they become a seated member of Congress or an elected official. So again, I guess us as the general public would have no real reason to be on Signal. But either way, could you think of a valid reason to why the vice president, the director of the CIA, the director of national security, the director of all these different things, could you think of a valid reason to why they would be talking about bombing another country on an app like that?
No. What happened to face-to-face board meetings? As much as they get paid and all of that, meet to get on a jet, plane, whatever you need to do, and have a meeting.
Great point, Char, because they have a facility they spend millions and millions and millions of dollars for every year, a skiff, to where these folks can go on and do exactly what you said, have face-to-face meeting, iron it out, and there's absolutely no way, because you're not allowed to take in cell phones, you're not Apple Watches, you're not allowed to take anything into these skiffs, right? So I'm thinking to myself, common sense would tell me if I'm an elected official and I'm talking about war plans or I'm talking about bombing another country, that's not something that I would want to be readily talking about on just a regular app. Yeah, I'm going to the airport at such and such a time. I can see discussing stuff like that. Or, meet me here at such and such a time. But we're talking about detailed plans.
Yeah, what happened to code words? All the shows that I watched, they had, codes. Operation Cool Boy or something.
No, listen, Pete Hegseth, the guy that you said they saw drinking water, that wasn't water. Because another one of the clips that we'll cover, one of the, of course, they're holding some Senate hearings on it now. And one of the House of Representatives asked the folks, was he drunk? Was Pete Hegseth drunk? But my question to all of them even the Democrats. How is it? This should have been the main question. How is it that a reporter from the Atlantic was able to be added onto that call and no one said, "Who is this?"
So you mean tell me there was no moderators?
What? No, if they ain't had a wrench,
Okay.
nobody gave him a wrench.
Right.
No one saw this strange number in there or these strange this strange name in there, knowing that what they were about to talk about should be considered as sensitive or classified information. No one looked back and said, who is this?
Right.
It was downhill from there. No, I'm not saying I'm nosy. I'm not saying you nosy, Bashar, but if you're included in on something that says the vice president and the CIA director, is you hanging up? Is you leaving the room if they don't know you there?
Why not? Let's see what they doing. What y'all
Right. What y'all talking about? Right. I'm gonna hang out in, as they say, I'm gonna hang out in the clouds.
No security pass, no nothing. I mean, what's going on here?
Nothing. A reporter from the Atlantic, folks. That's who broke this story. And he could have published this story before those actual military strikes happened.
Ooh.
That's even more scarier, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we that's the last thing that we'll cover, sure. But our main focus today is going to be the all-out assault. To me, now, you and I we've been here for at least 45 years, all right? So you and I have kind of seen the I don't see any difference in some white America than I saw when I was 13 years old. I don't see a difference. Do you?
Okay. No.
And that's to be honest, which brings me. Okay, how about you, Zahar? Have you seen anything from some portions of white America that we haven't been talking about in the 50s and the 60s and the 70s, 80s, the 90s? Actually, just throughout recorded time. There's always been a pocket of white America that believe that they are superior to black and brown folks. The same shit I saw at 13 years old is the same shit that I'm seeing today. DEI, it's just under a different name. Affirmative action under a different name. What do they call it? The Civil Rights Movement. All-out assault. Even so much so, if you folks saw the thumbnail, they removed Jackie Robinson, Colin Powell, Medgar Evers, prominent black folks that served this country. Even after they got out of the military, served this country. Stripped them, took their names off the National Archives.
It's ridiculous.
Think about that, folks. There's one of the pictures that you see on the thumbnail is of Dory Miller. Now, if you folks don't know who Dory Miller is, Dory Miller was on one of the ships that back in December 7th, 1945, then when the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor, Dory Miller was not allowed at any time during that time as a black man to man any weaponry on that ship. He was allowed to be in the galley or a cleanup guy, janitor, so to speak. But through his heroism, never touched a gun before, a military weapon of that caliber, ever before. Shot down several Japanese planes. Then they wanted to take that off the archives. Jackie Robinson served his country in the military, then went on to serve his country even more by the first black man to, dare I say, integrate the National Baseball League. Colin Powell, one of the greatest military minds ever. The 668th Brigade of black female soldiers. All that was summarily wiped from the National Archives. Anything damn near black. There's Shar and I was talking in the background, and I started to name this stream a pale loose nigga roundup, because that's pretty much what it is. A pale loose nigga roundup. That's just what it is. Incompetence on both sides. This is crazy that at my age, and sure, no disrespect, but at your age, that we have to talk about this.
Incredible.
Right. I wasn't born in Africa, folks. I wasn't born in France. I was born here. This is what I'm, as they use the word, indigenous. I'm indigenous to this land. So for anyone to say that I'm not American is absolutely ludicrous to me. And yes, I am a black American. Sure, and I think you'll agree with that. You are the female version of me. But
yes,
from what I've seen, especially in the last 3 months of Trump, think about who they have removed from a decorated general. Never, ever gave anyone a reason to say he's not competent. Summarily fired. Now let's talk about the all-out assault on the post office. People say, why you bring up the post office? Who primarily works for the government, folks? Black folks. As the old saying goes that everybody's heard before, there's work at the post office. Isn't that what your grannies and your uncles used to say?
Yeah, that was the saying.
Okay. The majority of us that hold government, the majority of people that hold government jobs. Now you can check this. I'm not going to say it's actual and factual, but I'm guessing the majority of the people that I've been around that work for the government are black. They may not be in high-ranking positions, but I'm talking about at the post office, at the DMV, all these government offices. When you go in there, you see black folks behind the counter. Correct me if I'm wrong, folks. And usually you see a black woman. Am I wrong?
Not at all.
That's the other old adage that they want to say. If you want to find a mad black woman, go to the post office. Isn't that what they used to say?
Well,
sorry.
now what I've heard is you go anywhere. So hey, I don't know now.
Yeah, it's anywhere now. Right. It's just
We're
anywhere
in the
now.
street now.
A black woman opens up her mouth, she mad about something. Vice President Harris was labeled a mad black woman, and by some of us.
Yeah. Heard
Michelle Obama was labeled. I was listening to a stream the other night, and I heard these folks talking about Michelle Obama like she was the worst thing on this earth.
Good thing she wasn't in office.
And you know what? Right. And you know why they were upset? I'm not going to call it.
Because she didn't go to the inauguration.
Yeah. And then I heard, I got to bring his name up. And then I heard this loose nigga Jay Prince call Obama everything except a child of God. The greatness of that man. This dude over there collecting welfare checks, folks, waiting for his next check to come in, got the nerve to say Obama ain't shit.
Well, he's a retired president, and I'm sure he's fine with that label. He has no idea who this guy is talking about him, so he'll be fine. With his pension checks and all other checks he get royalty from his book sales, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Right. I'm sure he's not. I'm sure the opinion of Jay Prince don't make a difference. What was so shocking to me, sure, and I say this, uh, there were 68 people over there listening to that shit. A lot of them was hate watching. I'll give them that. A lot of them was hate watching, but there was 68 people over there for almost 2.5, 3 hours, and he was showing clips of just lambasting the Obamas, lambasting black soldiers, black generals.
Hmm.
And they wonder why, and I bring that up for a reason. They wonder why it's so comfortable for that sector of white America, these loose, pale, loose niggas that we about to round up here. They wonder why it's so easy for these folks to talk about us the way they do. I heard that nigga Anton Daniels talking about black women ain't shit. But they got black women all around them in their chat rooms. As there are what do you call them? They're moderators. They got them in their pictures. But black women ain't shit. You wonder why these folks can come at us the way they do.
Yeah.
Now, Shar, before we get to our first clip, you want to yeah, that Dollar General Rick Ross. See, you be coming up with some good ones.
Hmm.
Listen, if you want to come up and have a discussion with us, you're more than welcome. Let me drop the link right quick. What we're going to do first, folks, we're going to review the Defiant Lawyers. Of course, I like using this because the guy knows what he's talking about. He's a civil rights attorney. So that's what he's going to talk about. Come on up, Z. Hit the link. There, just drop it right there. So without further ado, folks, let's let me you got your camera on. You want to turn your camera off before I bring you up?
Okay, I turned it off, I think.
All right, there you are. Welcome to the show, Zahara. How you doing? How you doing? What would you like to start off at? Go right ahead.
Okay, first, let's talk about this pale loose nigga, aka 47, with his Bass spray tan, with his head, that mop, whatever he got on his head.
I can't hear you. Went out, Z. Salute that devil dog. How you living? How you living? My man, Joe, you know what I'm talking about. You know.
I'm back.
All right, there you are. What's up, HT Ball One? How you living, good brother? Joe, you know what I'm talking about, my man. How, I think we probably went through the core or around the same time or about the same time. So you know what the struggle was for us as Black Marines. A lot of folks don't know what Moffett Point is, but before we weren't allowed to be Black Marines. There was a point in time in Marine Corps history that we weren't allowed to be. And when they allowed us to, they would only train us at Moffett Point. So that's near and dear to our hearts as Black Marines. That's to us, that is the Marine Corps. So go ahead, Tahar. Go right ahead.
And then, like I was saying, we could have had we didn't been going through stuff right now where they just chose a black woman to be president. But no. These racist people and these loose ninjas are still running around free. Just had to just hate on her and had to put this pale booty loose nigga back in position. Why? Why? I don't understand.
Well, for some reason, I think they really believe that Trump was honestly going to have their best interest at heart, and I don't know how.
Mm-hmm.
But he don't. Though. He tell you who he is, like they say. When they tell you who they are, believe them.
Believe
them.
Don't
believe that loose booty loose nigga. I can't understand it.
Right. I don't. I have yet to have anyone substantiate their vote for Trump. It usually, when you ask someone that question, it usually ends up in an argument. Am I wrong, y'all?
Yep.
Am I wrong?
That's what I hear.
And then me being in the Navy, that's a slap to my face too. You
Absolutely,
know?
absolutely, it is.
Mm.
Now, Zahara, you were in the Navy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, I said Moffett Point, but it's Mumford Point. My bad there. Appreciate that, Joe. But you were in the Navy. Now, you heard what we talked about earlier. Do you think that those folks that was talking about war plans, would you not consider that classified? What would happen to you or I, if we were caught doing that?
Listen, we be in Leavenworth right now.
Okay. All right. All right.
We in Leavenworth. Huh?
No if, ands, or buts about it. You are on
no if and buts.
That's right.
No.
You are on
Leavenworth.
pre-trial confinement until they court-martial your ass.
Mm. No investigation needed.
None.
Male and female, you go straight to Leavenworth. Don't pass go. Don't collect $200.
Nothing. And if they can't, the last thing they're going to throw you is Article 134, and that's conduct unbecoming.
Exactly.
So after all the charges, right, big chicken dinner. After all the charges that they put on you, the last charge that you're going to receive is conduct unbecoming. So if they can't get you on nothing else, they got you on that.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
So again, the explanation that we're going to hear a little bit later on in the show, folks, to me is mind-boggling. But these are the people that you're going to hear a little bit later on that's running our country. But without further ado, let's check out the Defiant Lawyers here and listen to this all-out assault, or as this civil rights attorney explains it. Let's go.
About a heart attack, or how to take an engine from an automobile.
Let me back that up just a little bit.
So the question that I'm going to answer in this video is whether or not Trump is resegregating America. With his executive orders, is he bringing back segregation, that awful aspect of Jim Crow? Is he taking us back to that? Now, I've seen people try to answer this question, and they just are not able to do an adequate job, in my opinion, because this is my space. I am a civil rights attorney. I litigate civil rights cases. And so they don't know how to bring the nuance, because this is not what they do. It would be like asking me about a heart attack, or how to take an engine from an automobile. I just don't know. I can give you some general information, but that's not my cup of tea.
Absolutely. Not my cup of tea. But you hear a lot of these so-called internet gurus and all these other folks, they'll sit there on stream after stream telling you that they know what they're talking about. Now, here's an actual civil rights attorney, folks, that's going to tell you exactly about how many things that Trump and his cronies are actually doing to put us back into, dare I use the word, segregation. Ladies?
You continue to roll that beautiful bean footage.
Yes, roll that footage.
All righty.
So, you have been seeing all over social media and main media that Trump's executive orders have resulted in resegregation. Well, is that true? And if so, what's the impact of it? That's what I want to get into in this video. All right, so let's pull up a particular letter that has been circulated about this particular question. And the letter kind of lays out or sets the context for what I want to explain. We see that the letter is actually from the GSA, that is the U.S. General Services Administration. So it's an administrative office, and it is coming from the director, William Clark. We see his digital signature there. And the subject line says CAAC consultation to issue a class deviation from the federal acquisition regulation regarding executive orders 14173 and 14168. All right, now let's read the highlighted portions of the letter. Executive Order 14173, ending illegal discrimination and restoring merit-based opportunity, revoked. Executive Order 11246, equal employment opportunity. Now let me explain what that's saying. So Trump issued on January 21st, 2025, one day after his inauguration, he issued Executive Order 14173, which basically ended DEI and DEIA, diversity, equity, and inclusion, and diversity, equity, inclusion, and access. He ended it. But not only did he end that, he also revoked an executive order issued by Lyndon Johnson in 1965. Now, I've actually done a video on this already, but this issue of whether Trump has resegregated America has come up, so I'm, having to do this as well to explain, again, the nuances. So the executive order that President Lyndon Johnson issued, 11246, equal employment opportunity, he issued that so that the 1964 Civil Rights Act would be extended to the federal government in terms of contracting.
Now, I'm sure that he's going to explain this in a little bit more detail, but for the layman's folks, let me just say this. And there was a point in time that you could sue the government because of discrimination, because if you own a black company and you could say that, hey, I was not afforded the opportunity based on my color, or I was not allowed to have this based on the color of my company, in this case, black or brown folks. You can't do that anymore, according to that executive order. You can't sue the government anymore as an equal opportunity employment, even at your job. If you was to say, I didn't get a promotion because I feel it was racially taken away from me, excuse me, you can't go sue that company anymore. They can hire who they want to, merit-based, as they say.
Okay, so he extended it to cover contracting. So the letter goes on to say several FAR, that stands for Federal Acquisition Regulations. Federal Acquisition Regulations, or regulation. Several FAR provisions promulgated to enforce EO 11246 are not consistent with the direction of the president, see FAR subpart 22.8, and associated provisions and clauses as prescribed at FAR 22.810. Now, what is all that saying? That is saying that federal regulations were promulgated once Lyndon Johnson issued his executive order 11246. In order to enforce it, federal regulations had to be promulgated. And those federal regulations, again, are abbreviated as FAR, Federal Acquisition Regulations, and then it will have the section. Okay? Now, several of those federal acquisition regulations, the Trump administration is saying, are inconsistent with his executive order 14173. And one of those
I wouldn't use the word inconsistent. I would use it's not consistent with his way of thinking. Look at the history of Trump, folks. And you have, just like you're absolutely right there, H.T. Baldwin. There's folks that no disrespect to Sharon, but I have to mention it. But you have folks over there that's up on Sharon's panel day after day yapping. That's all they're doing is yapping. The dude up there, Reese, talking about there's no such thing as slavery. Prove it to me. Even though you can actually go type in on YouTube and hear actual voices of slaves. Fountain Hughes is probably the most one that sticks in my mind. That's prodigious in my mind right now. But these folks will get on these panels, and just because they ain't got nothing to do, or they like to be heard, or they like the attention, they will say stuff like that. And then they will say that Trump is not a racist. What do you mean he's not racist?
The angry Klansmen love to say he's not a racist. Swear up and down he ain't.
How can you say, okay, Zahara, you own the building anywhere in the United States. I come to you as a black person to rent that building. You put, or an apartment. You put C on the application. And when you know that the C means colored, you tell that person no. Is that not a racist move?
Yes.
That is the absolute definition of a racist, folks. I didn't say that he had that he was prejudiced about something. Being prejudiced cannot tell you where to live. They just don't like you. Being a racist can tell you where they live. Big shout out. I gotta show this, folks. Big shout out to my man Joe. Thank you so very much for the super chat there. I appreciate it, Double Dog. Hoorah to you. Hoorah. Thank you very much. But you have to look at again all these different people that's saying that there's not an attack on black people, and all these different streams that I listen to. No such thing as slavery. No such thing as the Middle Passage. Again, where are they getting those ideas from? Why it's so easy for some of the palm-colored loose niggas to say the shit that they want to say. They don't need to say it out loud. Charlie Kirkland doesn't need to say it anymore. Nick Fuentes don't need to say it anymore because you got dumb niggas over there on Sharon's panel like Reese saying it for him. You got dumb niggas like Jay Prince for president, as he called himself, saying it for him. You got dumb niggas like Anton Daniels saying it for him, that black women have no place but other in the home, barefoot and pregnant. You had a loose nigga that passed on or not that swore that domestic what do you call it? Domestic discipline was the way to go for us as black men. I wonder why they talk about us the way they do. But again, then you have these so-called, what do you call them? Master teachers that never show you their research. All they do is get up, yep. I bet any one of these so-called master teachers or those 10 PhDs, I bet they wouldn't last 2 minutes in the ring with this reverend right here. What do you think, Shar?
Well, we'll never know.
See, she nice, folks. She's nice. You know, she ain't. I ain't nice like boss. I'm gonna tell you. I know damn well you wouldn't last. He'd chew you up and spit you out. Chew you up and spit you out. Welcome back, see. What you think? You think some of the so-called PhDs that be hanging around, do you think that they could hang with what we're listening to now, with their research, as they call it? If you're speaking, Zahara, I can't hear you. So I'm going to play the clip and just type in the back chat when we can hear you.
ARs prohibits segregated facilities. Now, let me explain what all that means. So when someone acquires a federal contract to provide some service or some product, included in that contract is an FAR. In fact, specifically, it is FAR 52.222.21. And it prohibits segregated facilities such as bathrooms, cafeterias, and so on. So a corporation or some other entity that gets a contract from the federal government, one that involves equal employment opportunities, there must be the inclusion of FAR 52.222.21.
Not anymore, it doesn't. Not under the Trump regime, it doesn't.
Which prohibits segregated facilities. Now, Trump's executive order got rid of the requirement that that particular FAR is included in the contract, which basically means, as far as the contract is concerned, that entity can segregate people on the base of race, on the base of sex, on the base of color, on the base of national origin, on the base of religion, on the base of gender, sexual orientation, or gender identity.
Okay. Again, he's a little bit more, as they say, on the lawyer side when he speaks. So basically, I'll say this, folks. If I went into a building looking for a job, there's absolutely no way that you can say that I'm not a black man. Sure? Zara, if any one of y'all ladies went into a building, we're looking for a job, there would absolutely no way that they won't identify you as black. They can't identify whether you're of the member of the alphabet community. No disrespect when I say that. They can't talk about what religious faction you fall under. But they damn sure can tell one thing about you for sure. What's that, y'all? What's that, ladies?
Your race,
That's it.
male or female. This is, I'm listening to him and it taking me all over the place. I'm just thinking like, okay, I was about to type, what is the Supreme Court? Where is any outrage? Why we didn't we heard about the secret, but it was a little bit later as far as this Project 2025. That didn't get leaked out per se till a little later. Why is there, and there's nobody protesting this? Because this was some time to be thought up and planned out. This isn't something that Trump just himself is saying, I wonder, you know what I'm going to do today? I'm going to do this. No, this is a plan, literally a plan that's being worked on daily and weekly. And it never was leaked out.
You're absolutely right, George. This Project 2025, or as they try to call it, 47, whatever they called it, whatever 47 thing that they called it. This was presented to several other presidents before. I think we can go back to far as Reagan. They tried to push this Project 2025 to Reagan. Both Bushes. The only president they didn't bring this Project 2025 shit to was Obama. I wonder why that was. Wonder why.
Didn't have a chance, that's for sure.
Right. Not a snowball's chance in hell. Bottom line. Z, are you back with us? Any comments before we move on? Alrighty, folks, let's go ahead and move on here.
All of those are prohibited reasons for segregating any of their facilities. Trump got rid of that. So in essence, these entities can once again segregate people on those bases.
Let me pause this for a minute. And I forgot to mention that HT Ball one. You're absolutely right. Amy Coney Barrett, and I forgot one of the other. Maybe it's Justice John Roberts. They are giving a little bit of pushback, sure. They really are. In some things, they recognize that Trump has really gone too far. And as far as the protest is concerned, there are some, or they're sporadic, but there are some protests going on around the country about Social Security, which the Republicans swore that they would not touch. But it's an all-out assault on Social Security. The postal USDA, the Postal Service, the guy that the head of the postal folks resigned. He resigned his position, and Trump is now to try to put someone in that position that'll finish gutting out the postal system. But like H.T. Ball once said, that they are giving a little bit of pushback, but damn, not enough. Not enough.
Go back and read because there's some very important provisions here in this letter. Let's jump down to the other highlighted area, and it says, contractors are still covered by existing United States laws on civil rights / non-discrimination. These laws apply whether or not the company is a government contractor. So this letter says, even though FAR 52.222.21, which prohibits segregated facilities, the entity that gets the contract still is governed and or prohibited by other civil rights laws from implementing racial or gender or religious or sex-based segregation. Okay? Hope you follow me on that.
Yeah, we do so
Trump's
far.
executive order got rid of a federal regulation that prohibits segregated facilities. But the letter says that person or that entity is still prohibited from creating segregated facilities because of other civil rights laws.
Now, I forgot what city it was in, and I think it might have been on the West Coast, but some of these folks have already taken that to heed, because they had the audacity to put up a sign that says, no colors. Needless to say, that restaurant didn't last very long after some folks saw that. But that's basically what the lawyer here is talking about. There's some places, folks, if they don't want you in the building, you can't go back and say, you can't argue with them anymore. And it's always been my thing, is any building, I know some folks will say, well, that's any building that says there's no black folks allowed, I'm not fighting to get in there. Especially if it says it's a restaurant. What do you think they're going to do to the food that you can't see them cooking?
Right. You gonna get some special sauce, all right?
Okay. One of them shit pies. You know, or they're gonna take your steak and rub it, in some unmentioned. Right. So sometimes it's good to know where you're not wanted. That's my take on that. Let me know where you don't want me at. That way I won't fight you to go in there, but I'll fight you from the outside. But I'm not coming in there to sit down to eat. No, I'll sit in there like I think this was in Greensboro, North Carolina, back in the 60s, where those folks, the original lunch counter sit-in was taken there.
Okay.
Them boys didn't eat. They just sat down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Anything sharp before we move on?
That's it for now.
So MAGA would say that we're making a big deal out of nothing, because although Trump's executive order got rid of the prohibition against segregated facilities, there are other laws that still prohibit it. And here is where the nuance starts. And let me explain it to you. So first of all, having that federal regulation prohibiting and more importantly, it is in the contract. It is literally a part of the contract. It is language that must be included in the contract, which brings me to my second point, which is, because it's in the contract, if a federal contractor, an entity who has a federal contract, violates that section and creates a segregated facility, then the federal government can immediately revoke that contract, which serves as a deterrent, right? Because that federal contractor knows that they can lose this lucrative federal contract immediately if the federal government can prove they violated some section of the contract.
And that's exactly it. So when that Trump signed that executive order the day after he got in office, y'all think that was an accident? Y'all think that was not intentional? Go back to Project 2025. I wish ABT was around because she's been reading it just like I have been. That's one of the things that he said he was going to implement on day one. Not only it was the distraction with taking the migrants out the country, but the other part of it was we're going to roll back and fix all this business of you folks saying we got to hire black people. Hey, Mel, how you doing? Good to see you. We got to hire black people. Sure.
This is pitiful. Continue.
Again, like I said, you know, both of us are over the age of 45. No disrespect intended, but has anything changed? Wasn't our parents talking about this?
Right.
Didn't we see this on the nightly news with Walter Cronkite?
So it is a deterrent to creating segregated facilities. Now, although there are still other laws, if the contract doesn't include that particular registration, the only recourse for the victim is to bring a lawsuit pursuant to maybe Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 64 or some other federal law. But what's the problem with bringing the lawsuit? Well, there can be two. One, they cost money to litigate. And two, it takes time to litigate them.
And again, no disrespect to the majority of us, but just think how long they could draw that out. They could literally, some of us, the majority of Americans, black, white, or whatever, the majority of us don't have $400 for an emergency. So imagine you go to sue the government, you got to hire lawyers, and it just stretches out for years and years and years. So some of us don't even have the money to barely pay rent. Is that a suit that you're going to go after knowing it's going to cost you thousands and thousands of dollars that you may not win?
You can't even get an attorney to even work on it in hopes of winning.
Right, not pro bono. You're absolutely right, Shaw. An attorney will not accept that pro bono. It sure won't. I need some money up front. I need a retainer fee. Isn't that what they're going to tell you?
They need something. They'll tell you, need to hold on a little something.
Yeah, hold on. I need to hold something. Let me get something. What you got there? Car? You got something? House? Land? We'll even take the family pet. No, we don't want that.
So quite often, someone who has been victimized by a segregated facility may decide, I'm not going to bring a lawsuit because I can't afford it. And by the time the courts hear my complaint and reach a decision, we do discovery and we do all the things that we do, us lawyers in litigation, it won't even matter. So that is not a deterrent to federal contractors because they know quite often a victim will not bring a lawsuit because they can't afford it or don't have time. Whereas if that federal regulation is actually in the contract, then the contract can be immediately revoked based upon, of course, creditable, strong evidence.
All right, there, Zahari. Have a great time. And now you see why it was so imperative for that executive order to be signed January 21st, the day after he took office. That's just part of the scheme. That's just part of Project 2025. They can call it Agenda 47 all they want to. Trump ain't that smart, folks. Y'all say what you want to, but he is not that smart. Sure.
This was all written out for him. That's all. He just had to sign.
Absolutely. Absolutely, it was.
And because it can be immediately revoked, then that's going to be a deterrent from federal contractors creating segregated facilities. You follow me? So, again, yes, Trump's executive order will have the effect or can have the effect of resegregating America. And I've given you several reasons why, because despite the fact that there are still civil rights laws that prohibit segregation on the basis of race and et cetera, still having that prohibition, that regulation in the contract is even more effective at policing that sort of thing. So it is not hyperbole to say that Trump's executive order is definitely bringing about or can bring about resegregation. So, as I said here in my lower third, in Trump's America, no Negroes are allowed. And that's not far-fetched, right? Because they just recently removed names of blacks from the Arlington National Cemetery. They are getting rid of blacks in other places like the military. So it is not hyperbole. It is not clickbait, none of that clout chasing to say that Trump is in fact resegregating America. It's literally happening. All right, so I wanted to bring that perspective to you because, again, I understand not just what you see, but what you have to read between the lines if you litigate these cases. All right, so thank you for watching this video. I am Reverend and Civil Rights Attorney Augustus Corbett. And as always, stay woke.
Stay woke. Appreciate that, Augustus and Mr. Corbett, Reverend Corbett. As you can see, folks, again, normally I would have something to say when it comes to, where I disagree or agree with something. But can anyone disagree with what he said, what he's saying?
There's got to be something else to remove the remains of a dead person.
Yeah, okay. You think about that. I want y'all to think about that, whether it's in spirit or actuality.
Dang.
Now, another thing I was saying earlier, like Tyson Gay, his name was removed from the archives. I don't think he's dead, but his name was removed with something because anything that was associated with black people, brown people, the LBGT community was stripped from a whole lot of things, just blanketly. Even so much so, folks, we know about the airplane that bombed the Pearl Harbor, and the Enola Gay, stripped. Marvin Gaye, stripped. What's up there, APTV? How you doing? APT. That's my dude over there, man. You be rocking out sometime there, bro. Anytime. I think we need to get together one day, APT, and have a little powwow. Just me and you get up on here and chop it up about that. I like some of your commentary, bro. Of course, it's with everything. Folks gonna give you pushback, but keep doing what you're doing over there, my man. You got my support. Definitely appreciate that.
He's doing it like he's doing it for TV.
That's right, APTV, and plus he do a little music too, folks. He's got
he
some
raps.
Yeah,
just a humor. His thumbnails be fire.
Fire.
Yep, it's great.
I think they stealing from you. I think they stealing from you, APTV. I see a lot of people, once you put out a different type flyer, I see some bloodhounds come sniff around saying, ooh, that look good. Let me use that one. Yeah. Right there, HT. That's why I put a few of those on the thumbnail. That's why I put a few of those on there like that, because all those folks that's on that thumbnail, you know what I mean? All of those folks was stripped. Their records were stripped. Every one of those folks that you see on that flyer. Now, tell me that ain't crazy.
Get
It's
started,
just really
please.
sick. I mean, how you going to erase people that actually walked the earth and did the things they've done? What you tell their ancestors? I mean, their family members.
I
What do you
don't
tell
know.
them?
Well, that's a good question, Char. What do you tell them? Okay, like for me, my pops, and I like bragging on my pops because I consider him to be a great man. My pops won a silver star, 4 silver stars, and 3 bronze stars. Those were medals for heroism. Now, me and my brothers and sisters, we all got to go at one point in time. I'm sure one of us are going to go check the National Archives to see if my father's name is still in it.
Mm-mm.
So it's not it's just not prominent names, folks. Could be your uncle.
They're gonna grab the DNA and remove that too. I'm just
Right.
curious how far you gonna go with this.
All right. How do you erase the Tuskegee Airmen from the National Archives? How?
Some empty museums, and I'm gonna say
Okay.
that.
All right. Okay. Listen, before we get onto our next thing here, folks, I gotta play this. I've been saving this for quite some time. Maybe I might have to use that dreaded word that get from time to time, Char, called edit.
Okay.
But I might have to. But let's y'all check this out.
May I have your attention, please? Ladies and gentlemen, the 40th President of the United States.
Mr. President, Tom Matthews, UPI. Mr. President, earlier this year you said that you would travel anywhere in the world to further the cause of peace. Considering the worsening situation in the Mideast, are you planning a trip there in the near future?
We have no definite plans as of yet to go to the Mideast, but we do plan maybe perhaps in a couple of years if the settlement and the agreements have not been reached by that time.
Thank you.
Paul Onaki from Honolulu News. Mr. President, the Senate has voted to proceed with development of the neutron bomb. Don't you feel this will impede further progress in the SALT talks with the Russians?
Quite contrary to that fact, the matter of nuclear existence deals with atoms and atomic weapons, not with neutron weapons. The neutron bomb is a hold-cost weapon. It is not in the cellular realm of reality. We're trying to hold it in place, and it's a neo-pacifist weapon.
Ernest Richards, AP.
Yes, Mr.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to ask you a question which I'm sure the American people would like to know. Do you feel that within the fiscal year, the unemployment rate will drop below the 5% level?
Well, as you know, the 5% level pertains mostly to, if I may say, white America. In the black America, the minority situations is up to as high as 45%. And we plan to, with all our efforts, try to lower that rate to about 20% in the black areas, and of course it will be lower in the white areas, of course. We're trying to do this and merge a United States.
Mr. President.
Yes.
Arthur Williams, Chicago Sun-Herald. You've just okayed a $250 million increase in our space program. What I'd like to know is the main reason you did this so we can finally recruit black people for the space program?
I feel it's time that black people went to space. White people have been going to space for years and spacing out on us, as you might say. And I feel with the projects that we have in mind, we're going to send explorer ships through other galaxies, and no longer will they have the same type of music, Beethoven, Brahms, and Tchaikovsky. From now on, we have little Miles Davis and Charlie Parker. We're gonna have some different kind of things in there. That's right. Yes, ma'am.
Roberta Davies, Jet Magazine. Mr. President, on your list of candidates for director of the FBI, are you including the name of Huey Newton?
Yes, I figured that Huey Newton is best qualified. He knows the ins and outs of the FBI, if anybody knows the ins and outs, and he would be an excellent director.
Yo, Blood. Yeah, Brother Bell from Ebony Magazine. Assalamu alaikum, brother.
Assalamu alaikum.
All right. What you looking at, Snow White? Brother, about blacks in the labor force. I want to know what you're going to do about having more black brothers as quarterbacks in the National Football Hunter League. Okay. Right on.
I plan not only to have lots of black quarterbacks, but we're going to have black coaches and black owners of teams. As long as it's going to be football, going to be some black in it somewhere.
Right.
Doing something big.
All right.
Because I'm tired of this mess that's been going down. Right. You know what I mean? Ever since the Rams got rid of James Harris, I've been my job in up top. You know what I'm talking about? So we're going to get down on the case now.
Right on.
Yes. What is it?
Mr. President.
Yeah, what?
Mr. Bigby, Mississippi Herald.
Sit down. Yeah, what is it?
Mrs. Fenton Carlton Macker, Christian Women's News. Mr. President, since you've become president, you've been seen and photographed on the arms of white women. Quite frankly, sir, you've been courting an awful lot of white women. Will this continue?
As long as I can keep it up. I mean, why do you think they call it the White House?
Mr. President.
Yeah.
Now, your predecessor, you know, President Carter, now his mother was a nurse before
What is your question about, sir?
My question, I'm leading up to my question. The question is about your mother, if you want to be...
It's okay. Please, let's take it easy. The man has a right to ask the question. Please. Let's have some decorum here. Now, what is the question about my dear mother? Okay.
Now, your mother was a maid in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Now, after your tenure, if your mother goes back to being a maid, right? Will your mama do my house?
Now, I played that for a reason, that, ladies and gentlemen, which is kind of, it takes us out of our first segment and takes us right on into our second segment. Now, although that was in the 70s, and it was a bit of a satire, but how much of that is true right now?
Mm-hmm.
How much of that is absolutely, positively true right now? Richard Pryor was a visionary. Think about that. Of all that, even though he was the president of the United States, you saw one of them them pale colored yassa bosses. What did he do? Will your mama come clean my house? It goes to just to show you. Also, another thing Richard Pryor did, he showed how what we're about to see here, a word salad. Just because you say something, that don't mean you answering the question. Did Richard Pryor, did it sound like he was answering any questions at all?
I'm gonna go to the moon because it's, the atom, that's what's important. Some kind of molecule.
Right, or some kind of nothing. But prime example is what we're about to hear right now, folks. We're gonna go on mute and we're gonna let this. It's about a 5-minute clip, and we're gonna let it play its entirety, because instead of having it, you know how I upload it as
Wow.
file. I put it actually on it, so if something happens, we'll see it. But of course, it's going to put us on mute. But I want y'all to listen. This happened yesterday, and I want you to watch what happened yesterday and listen to some. I don't want to interrupt it. That's why I did it this way. If you didn't see those Senate hearings yesterday, watch Senator John Ossoff of Georgia.
And thank you all for joining us and for your service. Just to make sure I understand some of the basics here. So, Director Radcliffe, you were a member of the Houthi PC small group signal chain, correct?
I was.
Yeah, and so were the Vice President, the Secretaries of State and Defense, the National Security Advisor, and Ms. Gabbard, correct?
I believe so. I don't have a list of who was invited to be on.
And so was National Political Reporter Jeffrey Goldberg, correct?
I don't know that.
Yes, you do.
I don't know Jeffrey Goldberg, and I've already testified. I don't know whether or how he was added.
Okay, well, he was a member of the signal chain, and the discussion included the Vice President's private opinion on the wisdom of proposed U.S. strikes in Yemen, correct?
I don't recall.
Vance, quote, I think we are making a mistake. I am not sure the President is aware of how inconsistent this is with his message on Europe right now. There was a strong argument for delaying this a month. You don't recall?
I don't. As you
don't recall seeing that?
Read that? I don't.
It included the private opinions of the Secretary of Defense on the timing of strikes in Yemen, correct?
I don't recall.
Director Radcliffe, surely you prepared for this hearing today. You were part of a group of principals, senior echelons of the U.S. government, in now a widely publicized breach of sensitive information. You don't recall whether the Vice President opined on the wisdom of the strikes? That's your testimony today under oath?
In that setting, I don't recall.
Here's what Secretary Hegseth said, quote, waiting a few weeks or months does not fundamentally change the calculus. Two immediate risks on waiting. One, this leaks and we look indecisive. Two, Israel takes an action first or Gaza ceasefire falls apart and we don't get to start this on our own terms. Your testimony is you don't recall the Secretary of Defense sending that message or reading it?
I recall there being an exchange. I don't recall the specifics as you're reading it.
Well, let's put it this way, Director Radcliffe, a discussion by senior U.S. officials on the timing and risks of a proposed military campaign and disagreements between the President and the Vice President about U.S. plans and intentions would be of obvious interest to foreign intelligence services, would it not?
Yes.
Obvious. Foreign Intelligence Service. I didn't mean to click that off, but let's go to the next clip here.
The main person who was involved in this thread that a lot of people want to talk to is Secretary of Defense Hegseth. And a lot of questions were brought up regarding his drinking habits in his confirmation hearing. To your knowledge, do you know whether Pete Hegseth had been drinking before he leaked classified information?
I don't have any knowledge of Secretary Hegseth's personal habits.
Director Radcliffe, same question. Yes or no?
You know, no, I'm going to answer that. I think that's an offensive line of questioning. The answer is no. I find it interesting that you want to. I'm going to answer. You asked me a question. You want an answer?
No, listen.
You don't want to focus on the good work that the CIA is doing, that the intelligence community.
Director, I reclaim my time. Director, I reclaim my time. Here, I have huge respect for the CIA, huge respect for our men and women in uniform. But this was a question that's on the top of minds of every American, right? He stood in front of a podium in Europe holding a drink. So, of course, we want to know if his performance is compromised. If people were asking if the General Austin was compromised because of a heart issue,
was his performance compromised because of a successful strike?
Back. Mr. I bring my
you want to know? You want to talk about accepting responsibility? Do you think you should accept responsibility for a successful strike to make Americans safer? You want to focus on?
I reclaim my time. So here's the thing. This is serious. As somebody, we've been briefed in this committee about using Signal. One of the things they basically said, the most secure phone call, the least secure text messaging. And we know that your people, are Russians, Chinese, are on your phone.
Gentleman's time's expired.
For the last 2 days, members of the intelligence community have been asking questions about a signal messaging group and not asking questions from Democrats either in the Senate or the House on China, Russia, Iran, and the real threats that are going on to the United States. And you can say that you care about the good work that agencies are doing like the CIA and that you care about 140 stars on the wall, but no one's asked me about my second day on the job here, where I lit the fuse that led to a foreign government participating with us to capture one of the senior planners of the Abbey Gate bombing that killed 13 Americans. And in the process, we worked with a government that previously hadn't, that hadn't cooperated with us on counterterrorism matters. Or the fact no one has focused on that within an hour of that taking place, I was on the phone with Director Patel, and a few hours later with Attorney General Bondi, working together, the IC and the FBI working together to bring this person home in less than a week. Unprecedented success for the intelligence community and the law enforcement community. Exactly representative of the kind of work that we should be doing and the kind of work that an oversight committee should be asking about. But instead, we're getting questions about whether or not someone has drinking habits. And, you know, I just wish...
Hey, let's stop that right there. Sure, aren't those fair questions? That someone that's basically about to send our country to war, shouldn't we know whether he was drunk or not?
Those are fair questions, but, you know, no snitching allowed.
Right. There's no snitching policy, right? and you're right. There's nothing about it's what this guy is talking about right now has nothing to do. That's why I brought Richard Pryor in there. Bunch of word salad. The point of this hearing right here was to find out why you folks, the CIA, and all these upper echelon folks that run our government was in a signal chat talking about plans to bomb another country, all just willy-nilly. That's the only question that needs to be asked. Nothing more, nothing less. And when Senator John Ossoff asked this same particular guy, do you think that it was a breach in security? His answer was no, it wasn't. Chelsea Galbert, or whatever her name is, you talking about a DEI hire, right? They call him a DUI hire because that's basically what it is. Folks, go look at his record prior to him being put in that position. You tell me, is this a guy that you would have running the military? The only thing that he has in common with the military, and I think Joe, Devil Dog Joe will attest to this. Yeah, sometimes us as Marines, after a little mission or after some being out in the field for a while, we might go to the E Club and pull back a few. But that's it. Mm-hmm. But he has a history of DUIs. He has a history of being a womanizer. And this is the guy that thought it was okay. Instead of going to a skiff to where everything is, you can't be heard outside the walls, what it was built for, they're going to do it on signal. Signal. As a matter of fact, sure, let me go and I want to go and pull up. I only got halfway through that other video, so I'm glad I still have it.
Okay.
Let me go and pull it up right quickly. I'm gonna go back to Senator John Ossoff. Let me pull it up here.
Thank you all for joining us and for your service. Just to make sure I understand some of the basics here. So,
let me move this on just a little bit here. Let me move this to right about here. Yeah. Let me go back a little farther. Right about there.
And we don't get to start this on our own terms. Your testimony is you don't recall the Secretary of Defense sending that message or reading it?
I recall there being an exchange. I don't recall the specifics as you're reading it.
Well, let's put it this way, Director Ratcliffe, a discussion by senior U.S. officials on the timing and risks of a proposed military campaign and disagreements between the president and the vice president about U.S. plans and intentions would be of obvious interest to foreign intelligence services, would it not?
Yes.
And they were discussing the timing.
Okay. The mere yes that came out of your mouth should have told you that was classified material. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah.
Would you? Let's take this to a sports analogy. I got a basketball team, Sharon. You got a basketball team. Well, I got a football team, and you got a football team. And you just happen to see my playbook of the plays that I'm gonna use next week, just laying out all willy nilly. You're not gonna pick them up.
Well, you gonna lose next week.
Okay. All right. Somebody getting a couple interceptions. I'm gonna be in the backfield before the ball get hiked because I already know what's coming.
Right. That's the playbook.
So this is what. Well, listen.
Of sending U.S. air crews into enemy airspace where they faced an air defense threat, correct?
I'm going to, Senator, defer to the other principles that you're referring to about what the meaning and the context of
They're
what they
talking
were
about the
auditing.
timing of U.S. airstrikes, correct?
Yes.
Yes, and therefore the timing of sending U.S. air crews into hostile airspace, correct?
Yes.
And therefore the time period during which enemy air defenses could target U.S. air crews flying in enemy airspace, correct?
I don't know that.
You do know that. Let me ask this question, General Hawk. You lead America's signals intelligence collection. Would the private deliberation of foreign senior officials about the wisdom and timing of potential military action be a collection priority for you and the U.S. intelligence community?
Senator, it's our job to do indications and warning for both the plans and intentions of adversary leaders and for military commanders.
And would not information about the timing of...
Okay, so I don't know if anybody caught what just happened. He says that the United States of America, they use signal to spy on other countries. Y'all hear that? They use signal to collect information about what other countries is doing. Now, what would make this man sit up here and say that talking about the plans to bomb another part of the world is not classified and it's okay to speak that way on signal, knowing that the adversaries are also doing the same damn thing? Just leave your playbook on the bench. Somebody will pick it up 2 hours before the game.
Wow. And these folks can retire with pensions, I tell you.
I need to get me a pension. I need to go. I just need to just start all over and grow up to be a complete fuck up.
Okay.
Airstrikes allow a military to pre-position or cue air defense systems to shoot down enemy aircraft?
I think, Senator, from our perspective, any advance warning is something that we certainly are trying to protect.
Yeah. Director Ratcliffe, this was a huge mistake, correct?
No.
Just nonchalantly, he says no. Even after he saw that military counter-espionage man say exactly that, he says no with a straight face. No.
Must be nice to be white.
It got to be. That to me, that's mind-boggling. To hear somebody right across from you say, this is what we do. And you just turned around and after all that you just heard, and you say, no, it was not. Wait a minute. Let me make, did I hear that right? Let me back up here just a little bit. Did I hear that right? I got to make sure.
It was a huge mistake, correct?
No.
A national political...
Hold on.
No, you
Let me
hold
answer.
on. No,
The
Director
answer- the
Ratcliffe,
reason
I
I
asked
say
you a yes
no-
or no question, and now you hold on.
I don't like using this word, but he looked at him with the motherfucker. Are you kidding me? Didn't he? Are you kidding me?
National political reporter
You can characterize it how you want.
was made privy
The White
to
House has
sensitive
made
information
clear
about
that there
imminent
was an
military
inadvertent
operations against a
mistake,
foreign terrorist
an inadvertent
organization.
mistake of adding a reporter.
And that wasn't a huge
to a
mistake.
seal.
That wasn't a huge mistake.
Well, I think they characterize
This is
it
an
as a
embarrassment.
mistake.
This is utterly unprofessional. There's been no apology. There has been no recognition of the gravity of this error. And by the way, we will get the full transcript of this chain, and your testimony will be measured carefully against its content. Thank you.
Basically, what he just said to you there, sir, that this shit gonna come back to haunt you. You are under oath right now.
Well, let's see if that happens and he end up retiring and get all his benefits and move on.
Right, because that's what that's what they're calling for. They're calling for Hegseth, this guy, and Kid Chelsea Gilbert, whatever her name is. They're calling for their resignations, and I cannot see why not. I don't see why. Actually, we know if we were in the military, if I was still in the military, this would be a court-martial offense, not a summary court-martial, not a special court-martial, but a general court-martial where you would spend up to at least 20 years in jail. And during wartime, this could be considered an act of treason. And during wartime, an act of treason, the punishment is death.
Well, the president can have all his felonies. Hey, everybody else can do
Right. What can you say about that, Short? What can you say? I mean, listen, I'm listen. If you have one of those time machines, did you go back in time? I might commit me a few crimes. Because I know now I can be anything I want to be. Even with felonies, even with convictions, I can go get me a gun. I still can run for public office because none of that, what y'all saying now, you can tell me that could be justifiable to say, no, you can't do it because we got the highest person in the highest office of the land, a convicted felon. A womanizer, a cheater, a scammer, a grifter.
with an immigrant wife.
With an immigrant wife. And got one of his wives buried out on the golf course. That's how cheap this cat is. And he saved up that money so he can go get him some spray paint and some new hair. But remember now, if this was the Democrats, they still talking about Hillary Clinton's email scandal, as they called it. They still talking about Benghazi. As you heard the director of the CIA go back and try to talk about, invoke the Democrats in what they did. The Democrats wasn't there, folks. No matter whether you think the Democrats are incompetent or not, none of them was on that call. None of them was in that thread. So you can throw the Democrats up all you want to about what they did or didn't do, but I can guarantee you this, they did not go into unedited, basically, unsecure, where now you know that that's how we collect our information from our enemies. And you just heard the director of the CIA say no, he don't think that was a breach.
No.
No. With a straight face. With a straight face. Leaned into it. No. But my man, Oscoff looked at him like, this motherfucker here? Well, I wish I wasn't sitting up here right now. I might go slap him.
Okay.
It wouldn't hurt. Because every time we catch the Democrats doing something, the Republicans out of line, because they're out of order right now, folks. You can say what you want about the Democrats. That's fair. But this is inexcusable here. There's nothing about this that has anything to do with politics. This is pure carelessness. This is just people thinking that there's no repercussions to their actions because they got Donald Trump in office. So they can pretty much do what they want to. From stripping us from the rolls, from stripping down the Tuskegee Airmen, to stripping Martin Luther King Jr.'s name from the National Archives roll, Medgar Evers, all ties into what we're seeing right now. Project 2025. And y'all still voted for this man. I hear some of these folks saying, well, I didn't vote. You're part of the problem. 17 million folks. Didn't we go talk about that number, folks? 17 million folks did not vote. Black folks, however it was. 2 million voted for Trump and 17 million. That's a lot of folks. Trump asked us one time as black folks, what we got to lose?
All right, history. Mess around with you.
You finding out, ain't we? Finding out, ain't we, folks?
Right.
What we had to lose. Desegregation. You can't go and pretty much say that a company is not hiring you because you're not qualified. You can't sue that anymore. You have these sycophants of Trump sitting up in a non regulated, unsecure skip, unsecure place, known enemies, but they're trying to call us the DEI hires. Let that sink in just for a little while, folks. They're trying to call us the DEI hires. Go look up Pete Hegseth's record. Go look up Chelsea Gablett's record. See what they've done to earn the positions that they're in. Go look up the guy that Trump is trying to put ahead of in charge of the Postal Service. See if that's not a DEI hire. Remember, Trump tried to put Matt Gaetz as the Attorney General. Yeah, Biden did say, hey, Cyber Dreams, Biden did say, you ain't black. And no disrespect when I say this, Cyber, but as I say to anyone else, Biden's not the president now. None of what Biden did while he was in office or anything that he said in office, you can say the Trump administration has not pretty much decapitated. You can't say that Biden left us with a messed up economy, because he didn't. You can't say that Biden tried to roll back civil rights, the civil rights movements from the 60s and 70s and 80s. You can't say that Biden took the price of eggs up from $3 a carton, $4 a carton to damn near $9 a carton. So I understand, again, if you want to go back and look at Biden's presidency and have a talk about that, that's fair game. But in this case, it has not the incompetency of the, I won't even call it administration. I would have to call this the Trump regime. There's there's no comparison in the two.
Mm-hmm.
And Cyber, I'll drop the link. We're about to end this in a little bit, but if you want to come up and give a little pushback to it, by all means, I'm down for it. So, but like I said, folks, I mean, Do I think it's an all-out assault on black folks? I'm sure we talked about this behind the scenes, and you said something. You said black and who folks?
Poor people.
Fuck them kids. Shit. That's all I got to say about that. Fuck them kids. Shit. Two broke folks don't do nothing but argue. So I'm sorry. It's all about me. I'm sorry, poor white America right now. My apologies for being so. Okay. That's fair enough. Let's be safe. 3, 6, and 9, please. As you're driving, head nice straight to the front. The who? I don't understand. I'm trying to read this. Could you make sense of what I just put on the screen? She said, "Why you hate it?" I'm not sure. No, I don't. Go ahead, sure.
If it doesn't apply, let it fly. Next.
Yeah. No, I'm just. No, I don't. And when I say kids, I don't mean like that. I'm talking about. It was just an inside joke. No, I have children. No. Oh, I get it. I see now. My bad. No, I guess I should have prefaced that with, listen, folks, I'm not being serious when I say this. I'm just saying that when I say fuck them kids, I'm just meaning fuck more poor white folks right now. I can't help them if I can't help myself. I'm trying to preserve our history. I can't worry about them right now. No disrespect to them, but shit, along with a few of us knuckleheads, a few of them knuckleheads and them. That's why we got to go through this right now. Yeah, again, it's fair to criticize the Biden administration. That's a fair criticism. I criticize them. Sure, I think you and I both did. Fair enough.
Fair enough.
But what does the Biden administration have to do what's going on right now? I'm just saying. Well, with that, folks, that's pretty much all I got to offer y'all for today. The link is down in the chat room if anybody want to come up and give a little chop on it. Yeah, APT, man, we definitely got to get together. We'll connect somehow. Next time I see you live, I'll come over to your stream and we'll exchange emails or something like that, contact information. I'd love to sit down and chop it up with you, brother. I surely would. Sure would. Sure. Any closing last words before we get out of here?
I'm just really wondering the people that was in the room, that the round table that came up with this great idea of let's just remove everything black. I'm just really would like to see those names and faces too.
Well, they put that under. Of course, they put that under lock and key. They don't want you to see it. They don't want you to know. There's so many things. Just like right now, the last thing I know is one more thing I wanted to talk about: the open defiance of a federal judge by Trump and his regime about this Venezuelan migrants that they just shipped off. If they're from Venezuela, why would you send them to Honduras?
I think those tickets were a little cheaper.
They got the discount rate. This is as far as we can take y'all, all right?
Yeah. Make your way back on your own.
Right. No, they don't get to come back. But these folks were taken out of the country with no due process, folks. That's the whole point of why I brought that up. No due process. You could be right now of brown color, or anyone. Anyone could say you are on a watch list or something like that. Somebody pick you up, put you on a plane. You end up in the middle of the night somewhere that you don't know where you're at, why you're there. That's not what we do here in the United States, folks. But that's what the Trump regime is doing. Regardless of whether you agree with the migrant situation or not, yes, that's a good argument or a debate that folks can have. Sure enough is. But the mere fact of putting someone on a plane in the middle of the night and taking them to a country that they're not even from, that's inhumane. There's one particular case of a guy. He was of the alphabet community. How do you put that man as a gang member?
Mm.
Now, not to say that gang members can't be 63, 64, 65 years old. A couple of them folks that they sent across the water had nothing to do with gangs, folks. They just happened to be Venezuelan. Something's going on over there. Ain't that right, H.T. Baldwin? We just haven't figured it out yet. Something's going on over there. Because you could have, if you're going to deport these folks, you did. Correct me if I'm wrong, Sharp, but the normal way to do it is to deport them back to the country of their origin, not to a different country.
Yeah, but I think they just didn't want to spend them gas. You know, it's kind of fuel is a little bit expensive. So
yeah, that JP5 is pretty expensive. It sure is.
So all off right here. Watch the closing doors.
Right. Everybody out. Everybody out. With that, right. Last stop. Get your ass. You know what the last guy said when he got off the plane?
What did he say?
Oh, nigga, please. Nigga, please.
Okay. Yeah.
And with that, ladies and gentlemen, that wraps it up for another episode of course, the Chop Shop. We'll be back sometime within the near future with some more news. We may be back tomorrow. We may be back, what's today? Wednesday. Might be back Thursday, Friday, Saturday. You never know when we become live. Big shout out again to Joe for the generous super chat there, good brother. I really do appreciate that. Of course, our donations will be readily and easy, of making sure that we get bigger and better around here. So with that, thank you all again, ladies and gentlemen. Say good night, Sharp.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everybody. Again, see y'all soon. Have a good one.